Welcome back in, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show, the woman who should have many different Pulitzers. Maybe they should just rename it after her for everything she wrote about Hunter Biden, the laptop, and more. Miranda Devine, New York Post, joins us now. Miranda, things have changed on the show since you last came on. Buck is convinced there's no way, Don, thank you for coming on. Buck is convinced there's no way Trump can possibly lose. I am terrified that Kamala might win. Where do you put yourself on this equation right now as we sit right at 3 months away from Election Day?
Look, I'm with you. I don't think there's any guarantee that Trump's going to win, even though you would think with these two very radical left and very unimpressive and quite frightening candidates for the Democrats, he should win in a canter. But,
yes.
It's going to come down again to those battleground states that are controlled by Democrats. And we know that they are implacably opposed to having election security, any voter ID. Why is that? Why are they registering illegal aliens? There's all sorts of dirty tricks.
Miranda, it seems like there's been a move from J.D. Vance to finally respond and turn the tables a bit on all the critics that he has, including, and I know you've noted this publicly, the way that he's pointing out Kamala Harris. On the one hand, J.D. Vance is being attacked by the media from every which direction, including, I don't want to repeat it, but everyone knows what I'm talking about, this just a fabrication, a lie that even Tim Waltz made reference to last night, that it's like a mean joke that somebody put on the internet that they now try to slander J.D. Vance with. It's bizarre, but they're desperate. Meanwhile, J.D. is pointing out that Kamala Harris isn't even really running a campaign. She's just been picked, and they're just telling you vote for Kamala. The rest of the media is carrying all the water, doing all the work.
Yes, and look, today, as J.D. Vance keeps on pointing out, it will be the 18th day since Kamala Harris was installed in place of Joe Biden, and she has not given a single press conference or kind of unscripted remarks outside the teleprompter, apart from that ridiculous word salad that she gave on the tarmac the other day when the hostages came home. No wonder they don't let her out from behind a teleprompter. Her poll numbers, her popularity has gone up. She's now beating Trump for doing absolutely nothing but just a very clever kind of TikTok online campaign to make her look cool and, joyful and vigorous. And they're so relieved, the Democrats, that they haven't got a walking cadaver in office, that I guess that they're full of irrational exuberance, which I assume will peter out after their convention.
Miranda, here's my concern. I thought when Joe Biden got elected in 20 and they basically buried him in the basement, that they would have to acknowledge that COVID was the reason they could do that. But there doesn't seem to be any mechanism that is going to require Kamala to ever come off the teleprompter at all. Maybe one debate, which my concern is both sides will raise their gloves after the debate like a boxing match and go back to their corners and say that they won. I think it's going to be hard for Trump to knock Kamala out like he knocked Biden out because she's not a corpse, basically, right? So what mechanism is there to require? We know it's a compliant press, but Lester Holt, for God's sakes, devoured Kamala to such an extent that she didn't do a sit-down interview for another year. I just think Democrats are going to say, hey, we're too busy. We're campaigning. She's reading off the teleprompter. I'm not sure they're ever going to require her to do anything. Meanwhile, Trump is out there doing every media outlet under the sun, pro and con, and yet every time he says something that's a little bit outside the color lines, they grab him and try to drag him around, and there's no same standard being applied to Kamala at all. This seems like the new rig job that's in effect. This is what I see. Am I missing it, or do you see it too?
Yeah, look, I see it that way too. When the Democrats control all the kind of narrative-forming institutions in the country, and that's, the media, they're almost fully in control of, including social media, apart from the one bright spot of X, thanks to Elon Musk, who they're trying to destroy. And, Hollywood, academia. There's a documentary I was just told about that Kevin Morris, Hunter Biden's sugar brother, has created that's coming out just before the election at the Toronto Film Festival, which is eulogizing Adam Kinzinger as the valiant, noble, last Republican. So that's the kind of sort of narrative machine that the Republicans and Trump are up against. Now, the thing that's good about Trump is that he's such a showman that he does manage to sort of get around that myth-making machine because he is his own myth. And people are fascinated by him. And, he's doing some unorthodox things going on big sort of youth live streams and getting a lot of kudos for that. And I think that as the sort of dinosaur media lose their power and influence because they've been so dishonest, that their sort of attacks on Trump and their eulogizing of Kamala Harris, I think, does have a limit.
Speaking to Miranda Devine of the New York Post and also the author of the excellent Laptop from Hell. So now that we know, Miranda, switching a little bit of gears here, now that we know that Joe Biden is not going to be the guy, very, very sad for those of us who thought he'd make it all the way through. When do you think the pardon that he said would never happen for Hunter happens? Do you have a take on when Joe's, I would not pardon my son? I'm actually going to pardon my son.
I think it will be at the very last minute so that they can just wring every last drop of, freebies and trips on Air Force One and holidays in Camp David, et cetera, out of the presidency. And remember, Hunter has next month his quite important, it'll be long, tax trial in California. And that was the trial that was going to be a big problem for Joe Biden because it brings in all the Burisma money, Ukraine, China, et cetera. And so I think the Democrats dodged a bullet in that case, and perhaps that factored into their thinking because Hunter is in no mood to take a plea. And it looks like the prosecutors are quite keen to bring in thorough violations. So that will be very interesting. And I think they'll just wait and see if he gets a conviction and then pardon him at the end of it. But he's going to get a pardon. He was so sanguine about the guilty verdict from the jury in Delaware over his gun felony that, everyone around him was very upset. He was just very calm, cool, and collected about it because he knows that there are no consequences for him like there never have been.
Miranda, you meant since we went to Biden, I love that you will share the president's schedule on a regular basis. I think you just shared that he's taking another 4-day weekend headed back to the beach house. What is actually going on here? Because we may have an attack coming at any moment from Hezbollah and from Iran. That's why I'm not in Israel right now because they canceled our flight. Seems like kind of an important time for the president to be near the Situation Room. I know they had a briefing in the Situation Room recently, but is this sort of a quiet quitting element of Biden where it's like he's just pouting over being left behind and he's not doing anything? I mean, I haven't even barely seen him. It's like we don't have a president right now.
It really is a joke. Day after day, the White House puts out his schedule, and it's like the other day, the one thing on his schedule was that he gets the daily brief.
Yeah.
And normally that goes to a president in the morning, so he knows what's going on for the day. He was getting it at 2:15 p.m. So, I mean, is he getting out of bed at noon?
Yeah.
He's doing nothing. And KJP was buttonholed about that yesterday in her briefing. And she said, oh, no, you're seeing the president. No, we're not. We're not seeing the president. He's not anywhere. He's, as you say, quiet quitting and then going on these 4-day holidays on the weekend. And he's on holiday the whole time. I mean, maybe he is pouting. Maybe he's been instructed by the Democrats to just keep a low profile so he doesn't get in the way of Kamala's wonderful debut on the international stage. But he should not be being paid. He should quit entirely. If he's not capable of running for office, then he's got to step down because this is very dangerous. And the American people deserve to know who is making these mammoth decisions. Who decided to send a destroyer over to Israel? What is going on?
Those are very valid questions. What is going on? Who's in charge? We don't have any idea. Miranda Devine, I'm glad that you guys are continuing to fight the good battles at the New York Post. Encourage everybody to follow you on Twitter/X and make sure that they're reading your columns as we do regularly on this program. Miranda, we appreciate the time.
Thanks so much.
Look, it's common for people to feel stuff with their heart. Skipped beat, flutter, any number of things. I got an email from a listener yesterday telling me about how awesome Cardia was. And she sent it from an email address, David and Teresa. She said, if you need an actual testimony about using Cardia, I was having heart rhythm issues. Every time I went to my cardiologist, my heart, she said, behaved, and I got a normal EKG. My son-in-law told me about Cardia. I purchased one, and when I had a heart event, I recorded it, printed it out, took it, and then they were able to look at it to share with the cardiologist. Again, this is an email I got yesterday from David and Teresa. She said, I absolutely swear by the product. If it wasn't for Cardia, I don't know if I would be here today. Thanks for taking the time to read this, David. And again, what he did was he used the Cardia 6L device, and he just checked to see how his heart looked when he felt like his heart was behaving inappropriately. And then when he went in, and maybe this has happened to some of you, the heart was having no issues at all. So they do an EKG and everything would look normal. This is exactly what this is designed for. Help to alleviate your concerns by being able to have a live printout of your EKG when you feel like your heart is acting up. Cleared to detect AFib, the leading cause of stroke. It can also tell you if your heart rhythm is abnormal. Peace of mind. You can feel confident between appointments. It's easy to use. In 30 seconds, you can take a medical grade EKG right there on your smartphone. You can easily share it with your doctor. You can also save a lot of money and worry, and it's a very affordable product. Go to Cardia.com. That's Cardia spelled with a K, Kardia, $129. But for a limited time, you get 20% off if you go and use the code 2024CLAY. Cardia.com. You can also find it on Amazon. If you're more comfortable buying things on Amazon, maybe you got your account set up, you can get 20% off if you use the code 2024, the year we're in, and my name, Clay. Get your own Cardia Mobile 6L today.